Sometimes, the brightest lights burn out the fastest. In the summer of 2021, a young woman with dreams of becoming a travel influencer set out on an adventure across America. She never came home. Thank you to all our loyal viewers and subscribers. Your support means everything. We're here every day with gripping true crime stories, deep dives, and the chilling details you won't hear anywhere else. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe so you never miss an update. Because here at True Crime Vault, we don't just tell stories, we uncover the truth. This is the story of Gabby Petito, a case that would captivate millions, expose the dark underbelly of a seemingly perfect relationship, and leave a family shattered by questions that would haunt them forever. Her name was Gabby Petito, but everyone called her Gabby. 22 years old, full of life, full of dreams. She grew up in Blue Point, Long Island, a tight-knit community where neighbors knew each other's names and families looked out for one another. Gabby had that kind of energy that drew people in. Warm, creative, genuine. She had this dream, the kind of dream that so many young people have in the age of Instagram and YouTube. She wanted to see the world, document it, share it, build something beautiful. In 2019, Gabby met someone who seemed to share that dream, Brian Laundrie. He was 23, quiet, reserved in a way that contrasted with Gabby's bubbly personality. They seemed like opposites, but sometimes opposites attract. By 2020, they were engaged, living together in Northport, Florida, in a home Brian shared with his parents. They were planning their future, and in the summer of 2021, they decided to take the adventure of a lifetime, a cross-country road trip, starting in New York, heading west through the heartland of America, national parks, desert landscapes, mountain vistas. They converted a white Ford Transit van into a mobile home, decorated it with string lights and cozy blankets, called it their nomadic project, a play on words that represented their nomadic lifestyle. Gabby documented everything on social media, Instagram posts with sunset backdrops, YouTube vlogs showing the van build and their travels. To the outside world, they looked like the perfect couple, living the dream, free, happy. But behind the curated posts and filtered photos, something else was happening, something darker. They left New York in early July. The plan was simple: travel west, visit national parks, document the journey. Yellowstone, Yosemite, the Grand Canyon, all the places that fill American travel bucket lists. For the first few weeks, Gabby stayed in regular contact with her family. Phone calls, text messages, FaceTime chats. Her mother, Nicole Schmidt, spoke to her daughter frequently. The conversations were normal at first. Excited updates about their locations, stories about the places they'd seen. But as July turned to August, Nicole started noticing something, a shift in Gabby's voice, anxiety creeping into their conversations. August 12th, 2021, Moab, Utah. This is where the first major red flag appeared. Police received a 911 call. A witness reported seeing a man, later identified as Brian Laundrie, slapping and hitting a woman near a Whole Foods grocery store. The witness said the man appeared to be assaulting the woman, that he struck her multiple times before they got into a white van and drove away. Officers from the Moab Police Department located the van on a highway. They pulled it over. What happened next will become one of the most scrutinized pieces of evidence in the entire case. The body cam footage shows Gabby in visible distress, crying, hyperventilating, apologizing. She tells officers she has anxiety, that she suffers from OCD, that she'd been trying to work on her website, while Brian wanted to go on a hike. An argument escalated. She takes the blame, says she hit him first, points to scratches on his face as evidence. Brian, by contrast, appears calm, collected. He tells officers that Gabby grabbed the wheel while he was driving, that she'd been anxious and stressed about her social media project, that he tried to lock her out of the van to give them both space. The officers make a decision. They determine this was a mental health crisis, not a domestic violence incident. Even though the original 911 call described a man hitting a woman, Even though Gabby showed all the classic signs of someone in an abusive relationship, taking blame, making excuses, protecting her partner, they don't arrest anyone. Instead, they separate the couple for the night. Brian stays in a hotel paid for by the police. Gabby gets the van. The officers suggest they take some time apart, cool down, regain control of their anxiety. By the next morning, they're back together, continuing their journey, and the police report gets filed away. Just another call, just another incident. No one could have known then this was the beginning of the end. After Moab, the trail becomes harder to follow. Gabby and Brian traveled north into Wyoming, Grand Teton National Park, a place of stunning beauty, snow-capped mountains, crystal clear lakes, forests that stretch for miles. August 19th, Gabby posts her final YouTube video, an 8-minute vlog titled Beginning of Our Van Life Journey. It shows happy moments, beautiful landscapes, the van interior lit with fairy lights. Gabby smiling at the camera. She looks tired, but she's trying to present the dream. August 25th, Gabby FaceTimes her mother from Grand Teton. It's a normal conversation. Mother and daughter talking about travel plans. Nicole would later say that Gabby seemed okay, maybe a bit stressed. But okay, that was the last real conversation they had. August 27th, Nicole receives a text from Gabby's phone. "Can you help Stan? I just keep getting his voicemails and missed calls." Stan is Gabby's grandfather. But here's the thing. Gabby never called him Stan. She called him Grandpa. Nicole thought the text was odd. Strange enough to remember. Strange enough to mention later. August 30th. Another text arrives. "No service in Yosemite." Short, impersonal, wrong. Because Gabby and Brian never planned to go to Yosemite. It wasn't on their route. Nicole knew something was wrong, but she didn't know what. She tried calling, texting, no response. September 1st, 2021. Brian Laundrie returns to his parents' home in Northport, Florida. He arrives in Gabby's white Ford Transit van. He parks it in the driveway. He walks inside, but Gabby isn't with him, and he doesn't say a word about where she is. For 10 days, Brian Laundrie lives his life, goes to grocery stores with his mother, rides bikes with his father, acts like nothing happened, like his fiancé didn't just vanish. Meanwhile, Gabby's family is frantic. They call Brian's phone. No answer. They call his parents. No answer. They reach out through text messages, voicemails, emails. Nicole Schmidt and Joseph Petito, Gabby's parents, become increasingly desperate. Where's their daughter? Why isn't anyone talking? Why won't Brian or his family return their calls? On September 11th, 2021, they filed a missing persons report with the Suffolk County Police Department in New York. 10 days after Brian returned home, 11 days after the last confirmed sighting of Gabby, the Northport Police Department takes over the investigation because that's where Gabby and Brian had been living. Detectives immediately focus on Brian Laundrie. He's the last person known to have seen Gabby alive. He returned home in her van, and he's not saying a single word. September 15th, police officially named Brian Laundrie a person of interest in Gabby's disappearance. Not a suspect. Not yet, but someone they urgently need to speak with. Officers arrive at the Laundrie home. They try to question Brian. His parents hand him a business card. Their attorney's information. The Laundries release a statement through their lawyer. It's brief, cold, on the advice of counsel. The Laundrie family is remaining in the background at this juncture and will have no further comment. Gabby's family is devastated. They release their own statement calling the Laundrie silence reprehensible. They beg Brian to do the right thing, to tell them where Gabby is, to help bring her home. But the Laundries say nothing. Brian says nothing. And the clock keeps ticking. As days pass, the case explodes on social media. The hashtag Find Gabby trends worldwide. Millions of people follow the story, share posts, spread awareness. True crime communities analyze every detail, every social media post, every piece of available evidence. Gabby's case becomes something bigger than a missing person report. It becomes a movement. TikTok users, YouTubers, and amateur investigators comb through Gabby's Instagram posts. They create timelines. They identify locations from photos. They cross-reference dates and places. And then something remarkable happens. A couple from Florida had been on their own road trip out west. They recorded everything on their dash cam and GoPro cameras, just documenting their own journey. When they saw Gabby's case on the news, something clicked. They'd been in Grand Teton National Park in late August, the same time Gabby was there. They went back through their footage, frame by frame, hour by hour, and they found it. August 27th, their camera had captured a white Ford Transit van parked in a dispersed camping area near Spread Creek, the same area where Gabby had last been seen. They could see the van in the distance, alone, in the middle of nowhere. The couple immediately contacted the FBI. September 19th, 2021. FBI agents and search teams converge on the Spread Creek dispersed camping area in Bridget Teton National Forest. The location is remote, surrounded by sagebrush and mountains, beautiful in its isolation, haunting in its silence. At approximately 2:40 p.m., they find a body. The remains are located near where the couple's dashcam footage showed the white van, close to a makeshift fire ring, partially covered by the elements. Based on the description and physical characteristics, authorities believe it's Gabby Petito. Cut to official announcement. That evening, the FBI held a press conference. They confirmed that a body consistent with the description of Gabrielle Petito has been found, but they need a formal autopsy to make a positive identification. Gabby's family receives the news. The worst news any parent can receive. Their daughter, their bright, beautiful, adventurous daughter, is gone. September 21st. The Teton County coroner confirms the identity through dental records. It's Gabby. The cause of death is ruled a homicide. Manner: strangulation. Someone killed Gabby Petito, strangled her, left her body in the wilderness, and drove away in her van. The question everyone was asking, where's Brian Laundrie? September 17th, 2021. 2 days before Gabby's body was found, Brian Laundrie's parents file a missing person report. They claim Brian left their home on September 14th to go hiking in the Carlton Reserve, a 25,000-acre wilderness preserve filled with swamps, alligators, and dense vegetation. He took a backpack, said he was going for a hike, and never came back. The timeline is suspicious. Brian returned from the road trip on September 1st. His parents waited 13 days to report him missing. They knew the police wanted to talk to him. They knew Gabby's family was desperately searching for answers, and they said nothing. The FBI launches one of the largest manhunts in recent American history. Dozens of agents, K-9 units, helicopters with thermal imaging, dive teams, bloodhounds. They search the Carlton Reserve, day after day, week after week. The swamp makes it nearly impossible. Water levels are high from summer rains. Visibility is limited. Dangerous wildlife lurks in every shadow. But they find nothing. No sign of Brian Laundrie. September 23rd. The FBI issues a federal arrest warrant for Brian Laundrie, but not for murder. Not yet. The warrant charges him with unauthorized use of a debit card. Between August 30th and September 1st, after Gabby's death, someone used Gabby's Capital One debit card and PIN number. They withdrew more than $1,000. Security footage and transaction records would later show it was Brian using his dead fiancé's money. To get home, the charge carries a maximum sentence of 10 years in prison and a $250,000 fine. But more importantly, it gives law enforcement the legal authority to arrest Brian Laundrie on site. It makes him a federal fugitive, and it confirms what everyone already suspected. Brian Laundrie is running from something. September 26, 2021. Blue Point, Long Island. The tight-knit community that watched Gabby grow up comes together to say goodbye. Hundreds of people line the streets. They place teal ribbons, Gabby's favorite color, on trees and mailboxes. They light candles in their driveways. They hold vigils. A memorial service is held at Maloney's Holbrook Funeral Home. Family, friends, neighbors who never met Gabby but felt connected to her story. Her mother, Nicole, speaks through tears. Her stepfather, Jim Schmidt, stand beside her. Her father, Joseph Petito, and stepmother, Tara, try to find words for the unspeakable. Gabby's mother shows her new tattoo. The words, "Let it be." The same tattoo Gabby had on her arm. A tribute to her daughter's favorite Beatles song. She tells the crowd that Gabby would want them to focus on the positive, to help others, to turn this tragedy into something meaningful. That's when they announced the Gabby Petito Foundation, a non-profit organization dedicated to helping people in similar situations, victims of domestic violence, families searching for missing loved ones, young people trapped in controlling relationships. We're hoping that through our tragedy of losing Gabby, we can help other people in the future, Nicole says. But even as they mourn, even as they try to find purpose in their pain, one question haunts them. Where's Brian Laundrie? The search for Brian Laundrie drags on for weeks. The story dominates news cycles, generates thousands of tips. Reported sightings come in from across the country: North Carolina, Alabama, California. None of them pan out. The FBI pursues every lead. But Brian Laundrie remains a ghost. Public anger turns toward Brian's parents, Chris and Roberta Laundrie. They continue their silence. Refuse interviews. Release minimal statements through their attorney. Protesters gather outside their Northport home. People leave notes, flowers, angry messages. A makeshift memorial for Gabby grows on the corner of their street. The Laundries become pariahs in their own neighborhood, but they don't break their silence. Legal experts explain their strategy. The Fifth Amendment protects them from self-incrimination. They can't be forced to talk, and anything they say could potentially be used in court. But morally, the silence feels like complicity, like they know something, like they're protecting their son while Gabby's family suffers. 5 weeks after Brian disappeared, 5 weeks of searching the Carlton Reserve, something changes. Water levels in the reserve have finally receded. Areas that were previously flooded are now accessible. The FBI announces they're resuming ground searches in specific zones. October 20th, Chris and Roberta Laundrie inform the FBI they want to join the search. They know the reserve well. They've hiked there with Brian before. They tell investigators they want to help look for their son. The FBI allows them to participate under close supervision. Chris Laundrie walks through the Myakkahatchee Creek Environmental Park, an area connected to the Carlton Reserve. It's a section Brian frequented, a place the family knew. Within minutes of arriving, Chris Laundrie finds a white bag, a dry bag partially submerged in water and vegetation. He opens it. Inside is a notebook and other personal items. FBI agents immediately respond. They expand the search around that area. 9 units are brought in, and then they find more. A backpack, later confirmed to be Brian's, and approximately 30 feet from the backpack, skeletal remains, partial human, remains scattered in the underbrush, exposed to the elements, to wildlife, to the harsh reality of a Florida swamp. The area had been underwater for weeks. That's why previous searches missed it. That's why the dogs couldn't pick up a scent. The remains are recovered, transported to the medical examiner. October 21st, 2021. Less than 24 hours after the discovery, the FBI releases a statement. Dental records confirm the remains belong to Brian Christopher Laundrie. The manhunt is over. Brian Laundrie is dead. He'd been in that swamp the entire time, while the world searched for him, while his parents stayed silent, while Gabby's family demanded answers. He was there, dead. The medical examiner rules the cause of death as a gunshot wound to the head, self-inflicted. Manner of death, suicide. Brian Laundrie took his own life. And with him, he took the truth. The notebook found with Brian's remains becomes a crucial piece of evidence. It's severely water damaged, pages stuck together, ink bled and smeared. But forensic document examiners work carefully to preserve what they can. Inside the notebook, Brian Laundrie's confession, written in his own hand. He admits to killing Gabby Petito. He claims it was a mercy killing, that Gabby was injured, that he ended her suffering. He writes about how he couldn't bear to see her in pain, how he thought he was doing the right thing. The FBI and forensic pathologists review his claims. They compare his story to the autopsy findings. It doesn't match. The coroner's report is clear. Gabby died by manual strangulation, blunt force trauma to the head. She was attacked. She fought back. There was no mercy. There was no mercy killing. There was violence, rage, control taken to its ultimate extreme. Brian's final word relies. One last attempt to control the narrative, to paint himself as something other than what he was, a killer. When news of Brian's death breaks, Gabby's family releases a statement. It's brief, measured. Gabby's family is not making a statement at this time. They will speak when they are emotionally ready. But in the weeks and months that follow, they begin to share their truth. Their attorney, Richard Stafford, speaks on their behalf. He describes the Laundrie family's behavior as unconscionable. Their silence was cruel. Their refusal to help was unforgivable. The Laundries did not help us find Gabby. They sure as hell aren't going to help us find Brian, he says. Nicole Schmidt and Joseph Petito hold a press conference, their first public appearance since the discovery of Gabby's remains. They talk about their daughter, her spirit, her dreams, her light. They show their matching Let It Be tattoos. They refuse to let Gabby be remembered only as a victim. Gabby is with us. She's with us. Nicole says through tears, we need positive stuff. We can't let her name be taken in vain. They announce plans for the Gabby Petito Foundation. They vow to help other families, to raise awareness about domestic violence, to ensure Gabby's legacy is one of hope and change, not just tragedy. With Brian dead, there can be no criminal trial, no justice in the traditional sense, no day in court where Gabby's family could face her killer. But they pursue other avenues. In 2022, Gabby's parents filed a civil lawsuit against Brian Laundrie's estate. They sue for wrongful death, emotional distress. The case is settled. The Laundries don't contest it. The settlement amount is not publicly disclosed. But more importantly, it's a legal acknowledgement, an official record. Brian Laundrie killed Gabby Petito. Gabby's family also takes action against the Moab Police Department. Remember that August 12th traffic stop? The one where officers determined it was a mental health crisis instead of domestic violence? The one where Gabby was crying and taking blame? An independent investigation is launched. The findings are damning. The officers missed critical warning signs. They didn't properly investigate the 911 call that reported a man hitting a woman. They didn't recognize the power dynamics of an abusive relationship. They separated the couple for one night. But under Utah law, someone should have been arrested. The investigation concludes that officers made several critical errors. Errors that might have changed everything. Softly, Gabby's parents file a $50 million wrongful death lawsuit against Moab City and the officers involved. The case is still pending. But the message is clear. The system failed Gabby Petito. Gabby's case sparked a national conversation about domestic violence, about recognizing warning signs, about how society responds to missing persons. It also revealed something uncomfortable. Gabby's disappearance received unprecedented media coverage, 24-hour news cycles, millions of social media posts, national manhunts. But thousands of people go missing every year. Indigenous women, Black women, women of color, LGBTQ individuals, people from marginalized communities. They don't get the same attention. Their stories don't trend. Their families don't get the resources. This disparity has a name: missing white woman syndrome. Gabby's family acknowledged this. In their public statements, they emphasize that all missing persons deserve the same attention, the same resources, the same determination to bring them home. The Gabby Petito Foundation now works to help all families of missing persons, regardless of race, gender, or socioeconomic status. They're trying to turn awareness into action, privilege into purpose. Perhaps the most important conversation sparked by Gabby's case. It is about recognizing domestic violence. That Moab police body cam footage was watched millions of times. People saw Gabby crying, apologizing, taking the blame. They saw a young woman in distress being sent away with her abuser. Domestic violence experts use the footage to educate the public. These are the signs. Victims blaming themselves, minimizing the abuse, protecting the abuser, appearing anxious or fearful. These are the red flags that get missed, the warnings that go unheeded. Studies show that strangulation in domestic violence cases is one of the most significant predictors of eventual homicide. If someone puts their hands around your throat, they're capable of killing you. Gabby's case became a teaching moment, a tragic example of what happens when we don't intervene, when we don't take domestic violence seriously, when we treat it as a mental health crisis instead of a crime. Organizations across the country reported increases in calls to domestic violence hotlines. People recognizing their own relationships, finding the courage to leave, to ask for help. If Gabby's story saved even one life, if it helped even one person escape, then perhaps there's meaning in the tragedy. Gabby Petito wanted to be a travel influencer. She wanted to inspire people to see the world, to find beauty in adventure, to live life fully. She did inspire people, just not in the way she imagined. The Gabby Petito Foundation has helped dozens of families search for missing loved ones, provided resources, funded searches, raised awareness. They've advocated for legislative changes, better training for law enforcement on domestic violence, more resources for missing persons cases, expanded databases to track missing individuals. They've turned their grief into action, their loss into legacy. In Blue Point, Long Island, there's a permanent memorial to Gabby, teal ribbons that reappear every year, a bench dedicated to her memory, a community that refuses to forget. And across America, in campgrounds and national parks, people leave stones, flowers, and notes, small tributes to a young woman who just wanted to see the world, who dreamed of sharing that beauty with others, who deserved so much more than she got. In the end, Gabby Petito's story is about more than true crime. It's about dreams cut short. It's about warning signs ignored. It's about a system that failed. It's about a family's unimaginable loss, and their determination to ensure other families don't suffer the same fate. Brian Laundrie took his own life in a Florida swamp. He left behind a confession that was more lies than truth. He denied Gabby's family the closure of a trial, the opportunity to face him, to hear him answer for what he did. But he couldn't take away Gabby's legacy. He couldn't silence her story. He couldn't stop the movement her case inspired. Gabby Petito was 22 years old when she died. She was strangled, left in the wilderness, alone, but she is not forgotten. She was a daughter, a sister, a friend. She was creative and kind. She had dreams and ambitions. She loved sunsets and road trips and the Beatles. She was a person, not just a headline, not just a case number, not just a tragedy. She was Gabby. If you or someone you know is experiencing domestic violence, please reach out. The National Domestic Violence Hotline, 1-800-799-7233. They're available 24/7. You are not alone. You deserve safety. You deserve help. And if you see the warning signs in someone else's relationship, don't look away. Don't assume.